Welcome back to the High Value Man Conversation. This is episode 42. This is a podcast swap with Erik Allen of the Erik Allen Show. Erik is a podcaster. He is an online personality that helps entrepreneurs really get noticed in the space. And we had a great conversation talking about masculinity, personal development, and both of our walks and testimony with Christ. Tune in. You're going to love this episode. Boom.
Aaron, you're the co-founder of the Modern Day Night Project, a men's lifestyle and transformational coach. You're the host of the High Value Man podcast, co-founder of the Squire Program, so much more, man. Thank you for your time, dude. I appreciate it.
Grateful to be here, man. Very, very grateful to be here. Thank you.
Yeah, dude. I like to kick things off by going back a bit. Where did you grow up and what was childhood like for you, man?
Man, that's such a loaded question. So I'd say childhood was challenging, but that's what put me here on the map in regards to being very dedicated and devoted to helping men become their best selves. But I'll leave that kind of as an open loop, and we'll get to more of that. Grew up a little bit of all over the place. I was born in Manila, Philippines. Grew up in Northern California for a little while, moved to Arizona, spent about 20 years in Arizona, and then Southern California, and then about 4 months ago, moved to Dallas, Texas. So I've been all over the map.
Come on, man. Dude, that childhood can haunt you for years, man. I think for me, if you let it, I came from the broken home, parents divorced, like I said, at 11, beat my mom's boyfriend up when I was 13. I was in jail at 18, bankrupt at 21, man. Just crazy childhood on my end there. What was that experience like for you growing up?
Yeah, so raised by a single mom. I'd say the father figures I had were less than savory fellows. My dad was a deadbeat, really just taking advantage of the system for the most part. Didn't pay child support. Not the best lifestyle as a model. Second father figure was a drug addict, ended up dying with a needle in his arm. Third father figure, physically, emotionally abusive, and spent a lot of his years cheating on my mom. And so the father figures that I had were all the things I didn't want to do, but proximity really does point you in a direction. And so I found a lot of my 20s, I actually modeled the behaviors of those father figures, just repeating the bad habits of lying, cheating, stealing, drinking, drugs, all of it. And it wasn't until I started to see those guys in the mirror, the men that I resented and frustrated or irritated with, that I realized that, man, I'm the problem. I'm also the solution. So about 10, 11 years ago, I started making a shift slowly, but it gave me a really good model of what not to do as a man.
Oh man, very, very, very similar story there. What was that breaking point for you that kind of like changed you and got you on the path that you're on today? And was there someone that kind of influenced you to go that way?
There was a lot of people that influenced me, but I'd be happy to share some of those. I'd say the pivotal moment was a Sunday morning. There's a Johnny Cash song that was like Sunday morning, everything hurt, and the beer from last night tastes so good, something like that. But it was just a hangover. It was a really bad hangover that I'd been to so many times before. It was after a week of just partying and just that really shallow lifestyle. And I remember just waking up Sunday morning, just feeling absolutely miserable and just feeling depressed and feeling like, man, I've done this so many times. Like there's got to be more to life. And it was just a flicker of a moment. I'd say it was a God moment where I just at least started questioning the lifestyle that I was living. And then there was that aha that if I don't make some changes, I'm going to do so much worse than the father figures that I had. And right around the same time, so I was bartending, I was riding a Harley. I was a single guy up in Scottsdale, Arizona. I thought I was living a lifestyle, but then I had an opportunity to also teach some boxing classes. And so I was a boxing coach, bartending at night, and they were two very opposite things. But the boxing class gave me that sense of fulfillment. And I remember my first client that I had, little Asian gal, Carol Rogers. I still think about her quite often, but she landed a right hook and just like nailed it. And she lit up. She was on fire. I lit up. I was on fire. And I was like, this is the feeling that I want to pursue and chase. And so that opened the door to coaching. And it's been a 10-year streak of just personal development, becoming the best version of myself, learning how to teach, train, coach, mentor, train, develop, all of it. And it's opened up so many doors because I found out that when I serve and I help other people, I serve and help myself. And so it's been the greatest path to healing.
Man, that's so good. In fact, I want to jump into like the high value man. Like you help lead men in faith, family, fitness, finances. For those who don't know, what is a high value man? And when you're working with men, what is the journey that you take them through in your coaching program?
Yeah, man, that's a great question. So I believe a high value man is a man that's got clarity and vision, knows where he's going. He's living his life by core values. He's stacking consistent victories. These are little wins to build his confidence and his competence so he can overcome his vices. overcome enough vices, you start to hear the voice. The voice is not only the whisper of God, but your calling and your vocation. So there's a 6V formula that I take these guys through, but it's clarity of vision, core values, stacking victories, overcoming your vices, listening to that voice inside that intuition so that you can ultimately discover your life's vocation. We get more men on path to their vocation. You have the opportunity, truly, I believe, to change the world. And so that is it in a nutshell, man.
Man, that is so cool, dude. I love that. And you talk about 3 things that men all should master, and that might have just been what you've just mentioned there. But what are those 3 things that men really need to master?
Oh man, this is good. This is the fire squad questions. I love it, Eric. You're dialed in, brother. We got to master our fitness first and foremost. I think that our fitness is the gateway to all the lessons we want to learn, especially as men. We got to be physically, mentally, emotionally strong enough so it all happens in the body. So you master your meat suit, your physical body, that opens the gateway. Part of mastering your fitness, you master your mindset. So your mindset is going to give you a different perspective, way of thinking. But after that, it's really then understanding your heart. And I think really directing and driving your heart. I think so many of us, especially in the culture that we're in, where guys have not had good models for masculinity, we haven't had a good example of fully modeling an emotional range. It's typically just irritation, frustration, anger, and rage. And so there's a whole lot of other feelings behind that as well. And so it's understanding that once you master the body, you master your mindset, you start to think positive, you start to create positive in your life. Like there's a whole nother range of emotions that we get to model.
Yeah. Oh, come on, man. That's awesome, dude. And I wasn't, to work on my mindset, I wasn't like a big reader as a kid and even into my early adulthood there. But one of the posts you made on your website, you said 10 books that every high man or every high value man needs to read. I've read a few from that list, but of those top 10, like where would you suggest someone start?
Ooh, so good. Emotional Intelligence 2.0. Book number 1.
It's such a good book, man.
Such a good book. Travis Bradberry. So that was one of the pivotal books that I read about 10 years ago. If you get the book, the hard copy book, it gives you a code to take the quiz online. The quiz will give you insight as to where you show up across your EQ, across 4 areas. So your relationship management, your self-management. When I first took that, I got a 43 out of 100. I dropped out of college, but I know well enough to know that that's a failing score. And so like that was the reason that I was failing my relationships. I had a hard time really managing my emotions. I was losing my temper all the time. That book was fundamental for me. I'd say that's book number 1. Book number 2 is No More Mr. Nice Guy by Dr. Robert Glover. That will give you insight and awareness if you have any nice guy tendencies. Nice guy tendencies are, I want to people please, I want to do for you because I think you're going to do for me. I have a hard time asking for my needs and my wants. I'm passed up for promotions. I'm friend zoned by women. I get frustrated, irritated, angry quite often, but everyone else around me thinks I'm always a nice guy. Those are 2 books that are absolutely gangster.
Man, I got to read that second one there. I haven't heard that one before, but I'm going to go pick that up right away because that just sounds like something I need for sure. I'd read Wild at Heart on there and
yeah,
just a great book. And I love that you're so open about your faith with God. And for me, like I gave my life to Christ in 2004 after a crazy night of partying and woke up Easter morning, For you, like, what was that moment? Like, what was that testimony for you? Like, how did you come to know the Lord, man?
Yeah, man. So I'm a new Christian. So I'd say that I've really been walking boldly for less than a year.
Come on.
My come to Jesus moment was pursuing the world and really realizing how empty and unfulfilled I was feeling. I have a beautiful woman in my life, and she has been my shepherdess that has brought me to Christ. And she teed up a question that I had never really approached before. She says, man, you know a lot about the Bible, but have you ever read the Bible? And I was like, no, I've never read the Bible. And so about a year and a half ago, I started reading the Bible, and the word literally shaped my life. It shaped me in such a way that I couldn't describe. And then she teed up another question. She says, you know a lot about Jesus, but have you ever tried to develop a relationship with him? And I said, no. And so I've been praying to him, and just the Holy Spirit works to you when you're willing to be humble, surrender. And it's not about religion, I think, is the biggest thing. I grew up in religion, which can be such a turnoff if you don't have a relationship first. And so the relationship started to happen to me and through me. And then I saw a framework. The reason I moved out to Texas is we've got a great church out here, Elevate Life Church. Pastor Keith Craft has had his flag planted here in the town for the last 35, 40 years. And I saw a model of masculinity that I've been looking for my entire life, man. And so that was the moment. I see this pastor, he's in his 60s, he's in great shape, he's got businesses, he's crushing it. And it's not only his 3 kids that have all followed in alignment to him, they're all also pastors, but now he's had an effect on other men. So he's got this, his protege, his name's Garrett Uncleback, who's launched a movement called the Mighty Men Movement. Every single Saturday, 300 of us get together. He's a former Navy SEAL, and we're not only building our bodies, building our businesses, but we're building fellowship and serving the Lord. And so I'm like, man, this is like what we've been doing with the project, but it's got the faith element, what I've been looking for. So seeing the model, knowing that there was something missing by pursuing the worldly and really building a relationship, that it was a multiple point, but Christ is everything.
I love that story, man. And just like, you're so right. It's not about religion. It's about relationship. And it really started for me. It was a relationship. I had gotten laid off from the music business. I was, out partying, and I was working at Starbucks at night, and this girl walked in and said, "Hey, we've got a cool college age event at our church. Do you want to go?" And I was depressed. She's good looking. I had no friends. Yep. What time do I want to go?
Yeah.
And I went down there, and a month later, I woke up after a night of partying and felt God say, "Dude, you're going down a path that's going to end your life. You got to start change your life." And right then and there, I quit cold turkey, drugs, drinking, cigarettes, everything in that moment, gave my life to Christ, my buddy's basement. I called that girl up and I got her voicemail. It was Easter 2004. And I said, "Hey, happy Easter. Maybe I'll see you at the store sometime." And a month later, we were dating. We just celebrated 18 years of being married.
What's up?
Crazy story, dude. And we were actually both born at 1:41 p.m. on our birth certificates. It's just wild story how we came together, man.
Oh, that's so beautiful, man. I got there, God uses what he needs to use to get your attention. For me, and it sounds like for you, it was a strong, independent, powerful woman that really was that shepherdess and has challenged me. I'd say my growth in the last year because of saying yes to that has just been something so powerful.
Huge. And you can't go wrong with Keith Craft, man. That guy is an absolute world changer, dude. I've been following him for a while, and he is so good.
And it's cool, man, just getting closer. So I'm doing some coaching with him now too, but getting closer to a circle, you see just the effect of putting principles above a personality. And he has he's created such an amazing ecosystem here. So I have so much respect and honor for him, and just being able to spend time with his team, with his son. We did a workout earlier today. You just see the effect of intentionality and putting God first.
So cool, dude. Like I mentioned, you're the co-founder of the Modern Day Night Project alongside Bedros, who's been on the show. He's such a great dude. Yeah. For those who don't know, what is Modern Day Night Project, and how can men apply to be part of this thing?
Yeah, great question, man. And then just so for your viewers to know, I actually stepped out of the project at the beginning of this year in full pursuit of Christ and really put faith at the center. But I'm a co-founder. It's a program that has been running since for the last 4 years. And so the way the story happened, Bedros and I were in the gym. He had hired me to launch another company. We're in the gym working out, and we just got deep during the workout. And I was talking about the upbringing that I went through: physical, mental, emotional abuse, also sexual abuse. He's been through the same thing. I was like, man, I want to live in a world where 2 grown men talk about the legacy they're leaving behind, not the abuse that they had to walk through. Yeah. Literally from there just stemmed this conversation. Like, dude, let's create like a mastermind, a men's event, something. And the project was born. The right people came in at the right time. It was definitely divine. And then I was part of it for 15 classes. Over 200 men graduate from the program. 500 men come through. But what it is a 75-hour personal development experience. There's not a better way to put it, but it's a boot camp ran by a Navy SEAL, a Marine, a SWAT operator, Bedros, and myself. And it's intense. Like there's not a whole lot of sleep, not a whole lot of food. There's some handcuffs, there's some hoods over the head, there's a beach torture, and all of it ultimately is designed to be able to get guys to suspend their belief, to start really seeing that they can build new confidence, they can break that negative self-talk, they can create friendships, they can build a whole nother level of self-belief. And it's a powerful movement. In order for them to go through it, you got to go through an application process. You need to be physically, mentally, emotionally ready for it. I know that there's a June class coming up that I got a handful of friends going through it. It's a powerful movement. It really is. It's, I'd say, nothing like it. I think there's a lot of versions out there, but I'd say this is the most intense, probably the most challenging. And it's definitely something, if you believe that you're meant for more, this is a great way to test it.
It looks amazing. I've talked to Bedros about it as well when I was chatting with him. What's the success rate on guys that actually join that thing? It sounded like maybe 50% or even less, fast, right?
Yeah, typically about 50 to 60% graduation rate. So 40% dropout rate is pretty standard. So it is grueling. I know one thing that they did shift over recently is if you do drop out of the program, you're still part of the year-long mastermind. You have an opportunity to come back and re-enlist. But it is definitely challenging, man. It's not a Spartan race. It's not a marathon. They've got a Navy SEAL bell there. So, just like in BUDS, Navy SEAL training, if you're just not equipped for it, or you physically, mentally, or even get medically ruled out, like, you're out, because it is a fast moving event.
Man.
Yeah.
I want to talk about this other program that you're part of, the Squire Program. Are you still part of that?
I'm not. Nope.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, but I'd be happy to share on it, man, because I know your listeners will get some value out of it. But that was spawned out of the concept of, we're seeing these guys in the project at 30, 40, 50 years old, where they are, they've dealt with a lot of trauma over the years, and it takes 75 hours of getting them beat up to start opening up, to be able to start talking about some of that trauma. But if we can get to them a little bit younger, those impressionable years, create a rite of passage, we might be able to save the world a whole lot faster. And so the Squire Program is a 12-hour mini version of the project, not nearly as violent. And it's a father and son opportunity for them to really come together.
Gotcha. Okay. Very cool, man. Very cool. Well, what are you working on right now? Like, what are you most excited about right now, man?
Yeah, great question. I'd say the biggest thing I'm most excited about, man, is again, putting Christ first. I've got my coaching business, the High Value Man Accelerator. I have an opportunity where I'm helping my lady Rachel grow her business. So she's got a booming business as well. And I'm really just focusing on taking a handful of my one-on-one clients and helping them reach the next level of their coaching success. I'm taking on less, but I'm doing a whole lot more, much more intentionally. And again, putting God first. I'm at a season where, man, I've had a whole lot of success. I'm very grateful for it. And I really just want to, again, put faith first.
Love that, man. Yeah. Always an interesting question to ask. Like, what's your message to the world, man?
That's good. Be what you want to see. Be what you want to see. I think that it is action forward. That is the foundation of the High Value Man movement of what we're doing. It's really how I've tried to live my life boldly, is be what you want to see, especially as a Christian too. There are so many people out there that are CIA Christians, and they're sitting behind the scenes waiting for the opportunity. But be what you want to see physically, mentally, emotionally. Be what you want to see with your faith, your fitness, your family, your finances. Be bold. Be outlandish. Be willing to step forward. Be willing to challenge the status quo, but be what you want to see in the world, and you start seeing the shifts.
Yes. Oh man. For me, it starts like first thing in the morning, being 43. Like when I wake up, I immediately go, man, thank you, God, for another day to see and hug and hold my family.
Yeah, man.
And then I have to get into prayer and journaling and just listen to worship in the morning. That's a non-negotiable for me. When I'm traveling, I'm home, doesn't matter. What's that morning routine look like for you?
That's good, man. So up early, typically between 3:30 and 4. Same thing, getting into devotion, getting in the Word. I spend about 30, 45 minutes in the Word meditation, and I'm out the door hitting the run. So last month I committed to doing 4.44 miles every day. The goal is to have it done by 4:44 a.m. This month in May, I'm doing 5.55. I got a couple ultra marathons lined up this year. So getting the run in first thing in the morning, then hydration, then getting into my content flow. And so typically you get your devotion and you get your discipline dialed in. Like that's where I get to really be creative. And so I'm using typically about 90 minutes after that point to really dial in content, creative, copy, whatever it is, my big needle movers for the business.
Yeah. Man, that's awesome. I'll love to finish the show with a big fun question. I'm a big music guy there. So what type of music are you listening to? Who's your favorite band?
Okay. Man, I'm a rock and roll guy. Johnny Cash, I think, is one of my favorites of all time, but there's a Southern California band, Social Distortion, that'd be a second favorite. So rock and roll, if I am like looking for some classic kind of like cool rock, like CCR is kind of where I'm at. A little Led Zeppelin maybe, but definitely rock and roll for sure.
Same here. I was straight like rock, Korn, Rob Zombie, Rage, back in the day.
Yeah.
I got a job with Universal Records in my early 20s, and they said, well, you have to listen to this other music. So I was, open the eyes to some country and some hip hop and things like that. But pretty much 99% of my stuff is all the rock stuff.
I love it, man. Well, we come from the same era, so I definitely respect that music chase.
Oh, for sure, man. Good. Aaron, I love what you got going on, man. You're an absolute world changer, dude. Thank you so much for spending a little bit of time with me today and sharing your story. It's super impactful, man. And I think you are changing so many lives with what you got going on, man. Thank you so much.
Grateful for Eric. Thank you for having me. Appreciate it, man.